All right, let's get them out there. The uglies and the fines.
Ugly.
Five.
Who are the best and who are the worst NFL teams? It's Mike Gill's Fine Five and Ugly Five, brought to you by Dr. Lyle M. Beck on 97.3 ESPN FM, South Jersey's football station.
All right, the uglies and the fines. Let's get them out there. This is an interesting week in the uglies and the fines. The fines had a couple of shakeups here, and I think there's some legitimate debates that we could have on these ugly fives and these fine fives. We'll hash them all out right now. Starting with the fifth team in the fine five. I've got the Denver Broncos. I know they lost, but Denver, still a very good defensive team. They're 7-1. They're a plus 53. I've got them, the other candidates for that spot would be Green Bay, who's lost 2 in a row, or Minnesota, who's won 4 in a row. Right now, I think Minnesota might be the number 6 team if we did the sensational 6. But I'm going with the fine 5, and I'm going Denver in the 5 spot right now. Number 4, I'm going Arizona Cardinals. They've won 2 in a row. They are a plus 110 on the seat. A plus 110. They're 6-2. That team right there is legit on offense. They got a lot of weapons, and the quarterback, Carson Palmer, is playing about as good as you can play. Number 3, I've had him here all season long in the fine 5, and I'm not moving them unless something catastrophic happens to the Carolina Panthers. They're 8-0. They've won 8 straight. They've won about 12 in a row going back to last year in the regular season. They're a plus 63. I think Cam Newton should be considered for MVP votes. Forget his stats. That team is not 8-0 if you name quarterback who's playing on mediocre team here. Nick Foles, Matt Stafford, Jay Cutler. That team's not 8-0 with those guys. You see what happens to those teams when they have teams like Carolina. They're the Chicago Bears. They're the St. Louis Rams. They're the Detroit Lions. That Carolina team, yes, their defense is very good, but Cam Newton is a factor. Number 2 in the fine 5, they are the Bengals. I've had the Bengals in the 3 spot virtually all year. That team's good, guys. They're a plus 87. They've won 8 in a row. They're 7-0 in the conference. They're 4-0 on the road. That's why the Bengals, right now, for me, are the second best team in the league. And number 1, they are the New England Patriots. But the gap is getting closer. I know New England, 6-0 in conference. They're a plus 133. They are very, very, very impressive. But they got a lot of injuries. And at some point, those injuries could catch up with them when they get to December and January football. I'm not sitting here telling you I think the Patriots are going to fall apart, because it's amazing to me that they never, ever, 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 ever slip up. But it doesn't matter. They put a tight end at right tackle. Let's run right behind him. We lose a cast-off in Dion Lewis. Let's find another cast-off in, you name him, James White, some guy named Bolden. Let's throw him in there. That's why the Patriots are number 1. But those injuries could get them, and the Bengals are the team that could potentially knock them off. I'm not ready to sell the Patriots and let the Bengals pass them yet, but it's getting closer, and it's getting closer. All right, the ugly 5. These are the 5 worst teams in the NFL. These are tough. There's a lot of teams that are like 3-5, 2-7, just not very good football teams. Last week in number 5, I gave you the Dallas Cowboys. I'm going to stick with Dallas. I mean, I'm not going to tell you that they're legitimately one of the 5 worst teams in the entire league, but you've lost 6 games in a row. The 6 losses in a row in this league, that's a bad football team. And guess what? Right now, 6 losses in a row, it's the worst losing streak in the NFL. They should be higher on the list, but I understand the injuries they have, and they've been close in a lot of these games. But guess what? 6-game losing streak, that gets you number 5 in the ugly 5. Number 4, San Diego's lost 5 in a row. Same problem with the Chargers. So many injuries out there. They are just all sorts of banged up. Guys are dropping like flies for that team. Their defense is horrific. 249 points this year. Not very good. San Diego's number 4 in the ugly 5. Number 3, I'm going San Francisco. I know they won, but they beat that fraud Falcons team. They're a minus 97 on the year. Blaine Gabbert is their quarterback out there now. He'll show his true colors. San Francisco's not a very good football team. In fact, to me, they're the third worst team in the Ugly Five. We got a little battle here fighting for the number 2 spot. Last week, Tennessee, they had a 7-game losing streak. They got Mariota back, and they ended up winning that game. So Tennessee right now goes from 1 to 2 in the Ugly Five. And, quite frankly, these things could keep bouncing around all season long. And there's a lot of bad football teams in this league right now. But the number 1 team is Detroit, 1-7. Awful again last week. That team has all sorts of problems. It sounds like they want to get rid of Matthew Stafford. I'm sure he would love to get out of there. So unfortunately for them, they are the number 1 team in the Ugly Five. And look, Jacksonville and Cleveland, I could put you in there too, but it's a lot more fun to put Dallas in the Ugly Five. They've got a disgrace of a player on that team. They've lost 6 in a row. You can't have a team that lost 6 in a row not in your Ugly Five. It's got to happen. They are the Fine Five and the Ugly Five here on the Sports Bash 97.3 ESPN. We do it every week at this time. If you missed any of it, including yesterday's Who's In and Who's Out of the NFL playoffs, check it out on our YouTube channel. All of our interviews and segments are up at youtube.com. Search 97.3 ESPN.